You've been told you've got to do informational interviews for your career and job search. But what is the purpose, right? How do you ask people for an informational interview? How do you prepare? And what questions do you ask? Well, we will answer all of these questions and more. This is Self-Made Millennial. I'm Madeline Mann, and I will share with you this crazy impactful approach to get where you want to go in your career in this video. So stay to the end, and I'll also tell you the biggest mistake people make with informational interviews. And if you do this right, doors open. To get career and job search advice from an award-winning human resources leader and career strategist, make sure you subscribe to this channel and hit the bell to get new videos on Thursdays. Okay, what is an informational interview and is it worth the time and effort? Here's the lowdown. An informational interview is where you contact professionals to learn from them, often to understand what it's like to be someone with their job title or at that company where they work, or learn how they got to where they are. It doesn't sound like a whole lot, but informational interviews have been absolutely pivotal to my career and so many others for two reasons. First, you can hang out in the safety of your own home, clackety-clacking on your computer, researching what type of company you want to work at next, what role title you want, different career paths, and all of this online research has value, but nothing, absolutely nothing, beats hearing a person's unfiltered account of their career path, what it looks like in a day in the life for them. If you don't do this before making a career move, you could end up in the same position as the popular TikTok creator Melissa Ong, or better known as Chunky's Dead, in contrast to her hilarious videos,
Step Chickens. I want to give you a sense of how powerful we really are.
She was gracious enough to share a vulnerable and honest tell-all about her career, where she said she started her career at Yahoo, which she hated working there.
I hated it so much and kept trying different things to force myself to stay on this career path. I would say to myself, I don't like what I'm doing, but I don't know what I would do otherwise, so I guess I have to find a way to make myself keep doing this.
Instead of soul searching before she job searched, she would simply switch roles and teams and just hope that that would make her happy. And then she came up with the idea that the way that she will become ultimately happy is working at Google.
One of the last lies I told myself was, you know what? I'm probably not happy because I'm not at Google or Facebook. Those are supposedly the happiest places to work if you're in the tech industry. So if I can just get into one of those companies, I'll be happy with this career path. So then I worked my ass off to get into Google, which ironically ended up being the company I was most miserable at.
She goes on to explain how the high performance culture at Google led her to have a breakdown within a few months, and she was the least happy she's ever been. Now, it doesn't matter if you are in the beginning of your career or a seasoned professional, every career step you make should be sure-footed. Melissa's story is a cautionary tale of what happens when we don't take the time to speak with people at companies, to understand what it would be like to work there, and understand if it would be a good fit for you. Because guess what? If Melissa had taken the time to have informational interviews with folks at Google, or heck, have informational interviews across all different professions and really get clear about what she was passionate about, she wouldn't have had to spend all that time being miserable and sacrificing her mental health. Now, this is not unique to Melissa at all. This is how most people go through their careers, and Melissa was brave and kind enough to share her story with us so that we could learn from it. And thoughtful informational interviews is actually part of the antidote of this pattern. But no worries though, Melissa is doing great now, and she has truly found her voice.
A few weeks ago, I did an armpit reveal on Instagram and received literally one compliment on my armpit, so I wanted to show you guys my armpit skincare routine.
Okay, and the second reason to make sure you do informational interviews is that it's a great way to meet new people who can become meaningful relationships, friends, mentors, and link us up with job opportunities. It's not typically our friends and family that get us jobs, but instead our second-degree connections. How do you get to know these people? You ask them to talk about their favorite topic, themselves. So how do you ask someone for an informational interview? I recommend hopping on the old LinkedIn, searching for folks at a certain company you're interested in, or in an industry with a certain title, or use the alumni search feature on LinkedIn to find alumni to talk to. Your response rate when you email or message them is going to skyrocket if you have something in common, such as you both were part of the same national organization, you have a mutual connection who you actually both know, you studied the same subject, you both pour milk in before your cereal. Cannot relate. Anything in common, and make sure you include that commonality in your message when you ask for their help. So introduce who you are: a student studying economics, a seasoned professional transitioning from nursing to hospital administration, a small town girl living in a lonely world. Whoever the heck you are, and then share why you're reaching out to them, what you have in common, and be clear that you would like to learn from them. How do you prepare for an informational interview? Well, first, I have a free handy dandy download of exactly how you should start the informational interview, how to introduce yourself, and then a list of excellent questions to ask throughout the call. Have this out at every informational interview, and you will never fear that you are going to struggle to keep the conversation going again. I'll link that guide in the comments and in the description. Sometimes you may go off script in an informational interview and talk more as people who are trying to get to know each other. One of the most important mentalities to go into an informational interview with is to make friends. Build an authentic relationship. One of the ways I am able to keep conversations going with folks and come up with insightful questions that may relate to their life or their industry is by getting curated news. One of my favorite news sources is Morning Brew, which is a free daily newsletter that comes out Monday to Saturday. I am not the person who spends an hour each morning reading the New York Times or The Economist cover to cover, but yet I can read resumes until my vision gets blurry. I'm a strange bird, but I found my nest. So Morning Brew serves me up quick headlines and summaries that gets me up to speed in 5 minutes so that people don't look at me funny like I'm a doofus when I don't know about world and industry news. Just the other day, I was able to pull out my knowledge that I learned from Morning Brew of the struggling movie theater industry in a networking conversation. And I do have to say, I did sound pretty darn informed for someone who only read a 4-sentence paragraph on the topic. You need to subscribe to Morning Brew if you're interested in business, finance, or tech. They have a cheeky sense of humor and are skilled in the artistry of GIF usage. And it's GIF, not GIF. Fight me in the comments. It's completely free, hallelujah, and it takes less than 15 seconds to subscribe. Click the link in the description below to subscribe to Morning Brew today. Prepare for your informational interview by researching. This includes reviewing their LinkedIn profile to ask questions about their path and researching the company they work for. How big is the company? What was said about them in the press? Because we want to avoid asking any questions that could be easily looked up online, such as, how long have you been at the company? Or, where is the company headquartered? Nuh-uh. No one wants to be your personal Google. All right, let's get to the main event. How to have an informational interview. I'll tell you the structure and the biggest mistake folks make. And one thing you should know is if you asked for the call, make sure you drive the conversation. Here is how you should structure your informational interview. Step 1, introduce yourself. Give a bit of context about where you're at in your career and what you hope to get out of the call. Step 2, ask them questions about their role, a day in the life. Get detailed. This will be so much more revealing than any online research you do. Step 3, ask them questions about their story, how they got to where they are today. People love telling their own story, so ask them the right questions and pull up a dang log because they'll be chatting with you like you're sitting around a campfire. Step 4, ask for advice. This is your moment. If you are unsure what certifications you should get to land a role like theirs, ask. If you're a career changer and you're not sure if your skills translate, ask them what they think. If you are really looking for a job that allows you to travel and have a flexible life, Ask them if their path is a practical choice for you. Be thoughtful about what you want to ask here. For the exact questions to ask, remember, grab that guide that I mentioned before. In the comments and in the description, I've written it all out for you. What should you do after the informational interview? An informational interview is not done once you hang up the phone. This is the biggest mistake I see people make. They think, well, this nice person took time out of their life to speak with me, so I'll be a kind soul and never bother them again. No, don't do that. If this person just spent time getting to know you, telling you their story, and giving you advice, they are now invested in your journey. So step one, send them a thank you email within 24 hours. It can be as simple as, thanks so much for taking the time to share with me your career journey. It was a huge help. Or you can step it up a notch and give them specific compliments about what struck a chord with you and add a little 60 seconds of value. If you're unfamiliar with my concept of 60 seconds of value, I will link a video of a really simple way that you can add value to someone else's life. Even if you're a junior employee, even if you feel like you don't have a lot to give or feel like you don't have a lot of connections, trust me, you can add 60 seconds of value and dramatically strengthen the relationship. Then follow up a few weeks or months down the road. Let them know how their advice helped you. Or even if you ended up moving your career in a completely different direction, still fill them in on it. They will be curious about what you do next. And by staying in touch, you never know how they may be able to connect you with career opportunities down the road. Let me know how your informational interviews go in the comments. Like this video and subscribe to this channel. You've got this. Wi-Fi high five.